अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of NL Hafta. We're recording this on the 21st of March, a Thursday at 11 in the morning. Things may have changed by the time you hear it because even as we speak, there are all sorts of seats being announced. Seat sharing is being speculated on. And today is really a heavy news day because there's much happening in many parts, including some Tamil versus Kannadiga friction because which Dhanya will tell us about. So on that, let me first introduce you to the panel. Let me start off by introducing Dhanya Rajendran, Editor-in-Chief and co-founder of News Minute, who has won 2 Ramnath Goenka Awards. Well done, Dhanya.
Thank you and congratulations to Newslaundry also. You all have won 2 awards yourself.
I went and I grabbed the awards and started getting photographs clicked. I was very surprised that you didn't come for the ceremony. You're beyond all that. I was hoping you could also come get some.
No, I couldn't because too many people to take care at home.
Oh, damn. See, that's the thing. It's just so much. You're juggling too many things, professional and personal. And but I clapped very hard when Raj Kamal Jha took a dig at other media owners because Mr. Puri and his daughter Kali was sitting right there next to me.
Then we have a few Maliks who have gone down on bended knee, so comfortable in that posture that it hurts if they stand up. There is an ease of doing business, and there is a very specific unease of doing journalism.
Also joining in the studio is Raman, Kirpal. Congratulations, sir. You too won 2 Ramnath Goenka Awards.
Thank you. Congratulations to the entire team.
Yes, everyone has worked hard.
Yes.
And our in-house genius and legal expert, Anand Vardan, who has last month finished his second year law exam.
Second year for 3rd semester.
Right. And when you took the exam, you put the knife on the chair or on the desk. How do you take? Huh? It's not like that. Or am I typecasting just because you're from Bihar? I'm stereotyping. But so you'll be a lawyer in 3 more years, 2 more years, 5-year course, no?
1.5 year.
What? How long is the course?
3 years.
Achha, 3. Achha, it's not. Oh, sorry, right. 5 years is when you go direct from school. Got it. All right, good. So we'll have an in-house lawyer. We'll have lots of work for you, Anand. We can rework your package because, as you will note, we have got 5 more IT notices. We have a court hearing coming up on the 28th. So lots of action happening. So Dhanya is, like I said, the co-founder of News Minute. And that now is going to be the only introduction, although our wonderful producer and research team has given me the long intro of hers, which includes things like Times Now and Union Express. But now she doesn't need that. News Minute hi kafi hai. And of course, she was in 2022 awarded the National Red Ink Award for Journalist of the Year by the Mumbai Press Club. Okay, this podcast is free. Hafta, I think this is the last week of free. From next week, it's going behind the paywall. So please share with your friends, family, relatives, whoever. Because even if they're not subscribers, they'll be able to access the whole thing free. Because from next week, it's going back behind the paywall. Our DDoS attack has not stopped. We will be taking this to the cyber crimes unit. It's been almost over a month, and someone is spending a lot of money to attack our website. We hope we will get a good investigation. And also you can contribute to our election funds, which Dhanya's team and Raman sir's team will be covering together. We will be covering the coming up Lok Sabha elections together. This time, instead of one project, we have smaller projects, and you can choose which project you want to contribute to. Like, Scroll, News Minute and Newslaundry put the team together with some independent journalists as well. In fact, Ravish has credited all of them with photographs. And this entire electoral bond coverage was done together because the amount of data that came. So when teams work together, great things can happen, even small teams. So do contribute to the election fund of the News Minute and Newslaundry joint coverage of the elections, because they'll all be traveling all over the country. It's a big country and a lot of coverage needs to be done. And like I said, this is the last week of the free Hafta. So do share it with everyone you can on WhatsApp group, social media, etc., and tell them to contribute and pay to keep news free. Because when the public pays, the public is served, and advertisers pay. Advertisers served, and you can see that when you see the news these days. In fact, today, let me start with the first headline. The Election Commission today has requested the centre and states to stop all political advertising. I don't know how they're going to implement this. I mean, it's rather vague instruction. What is a political ad and what is a non-political ad?
If you just advertise about your scheme,
with
the
your
government
face,
scheme with your face, it's not political.
So anyway, and of course, this whole thing, Rahul is giving Hafta a bad name. Hafta is such a noble show, and he's saying BJP is doing Hafta Vasuli. But the headlines are: the 17th Ramnath Goenka Awards for Excellence Journalism were presented on Tuesday, March 19th. And the News Minute and Newslaundry won 2 awards each. So thank you all of you for supporting us. Do continue to support us. There are many more reports that need to be done. Then the Election Commission of India, which dominated several headlines this week and last actually, it announced the 18th Lok Sabha election. They would be held in 7 phases from April 19 to June 1 with counting of votes on June 4th. So we'll know the result by the 4th of June. The EC also announced the schedule for the Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh, Odisha, Sikkim Assembly elections. They'll be held the same day as the Lok Sabha polling. Meanwhile, Assembly polls in Jammu and Kashmir will not be held simultaneously with Lok Sabha election, but they haven't right now announced when those will be held. Then the last Thursday, while we were recording the Hafta, the Election Commission made public the electoral bond data given to it by the State Bank of India. Data from the State Bank shows bonds worth 16,490 crores were redeemed between March 2018 and January 2024. Of this, BJP received 8,252 crores, the single largest of any party. However, the total amount they got is 12,000 crores, right? Which includes bonds and non-bonds. Is that correct, Dhanya?
Yeah. Yes, bonds, trusts and donations.
That's 12,000 crores, but bonds only is 8,252 crores.
Yes.
I see. And do we have the rest of the data? Today is the deadline, right? To give the alphanumeric codes.
Today is the deadline for the State Bank of India to inform the Supreme Court that they have submitted the data to the Election Commission of India. The Election Commission of India has to upload that on their website. We are hoping they'll do it today or at least tomorrow.
And once that happens, then Raman sir's, yours and Supriya's team can tell us who got money from who. Is that correct? Or will that take a while? Is that like too big a data dump?
We don't know in what form they're going to give data because I already see tweets and the social media posts from right-wing thinkers that it's not easy, that on one end you will have the data which is basically that SBI has not matched both these things. They were entering the code only when they were issuing bonds. They were not entering the codes when they were redeeming the bonds. Therefore, we are not sure how the data will come. But if the data does have the unique ID while the bonds were issued and when the bonds were redeemed, it won't take too long to match them.
In fact, SBI said in the court that the alphanumeric code that you're talking about is not going to give you an idea who gave whom. So even they also said the same, but the court said, nevertheless, you must give this unique ID. So let us see.
Let's see.
Let me add one thing here. See, it's very clear that all the parties know exactly who gave them the bonds, right? For example, I want to give a political party, let's say 1,000 rupees as bond. I go to State Bank of India. I give 1,000 rupees. I get the bond, which is a paper, and then I go give it to the party's office. So all parties do know who gave the money because they would have taken it down. The JDU and TMC have told in their affidavits that they got bonds anonymously. People dropped in their office and they did not know who gave 10 crores. But look at the DMK, the AIADMK and the JDS. They've given a chart of who gave them how many bonds. That means all parties do have these bonds. And we have been watching Amit Shah ji speaking at media conclave one after the other, in which he clearly says that let the details of the bonds come. We will see who did quid pro quo, which means he definitely knows who gave bonds to BJP.
अमित जी, कुछ पार्टीज ने अपनी जो है लिस्ट ऑफ डोनर्स को घोषित किया है। क्या आप कोई भारतीय जनता पार्टी भी ऐसा करेगी?
भाई क्या घोषित कर रहे हो? कल सारा घोषित हो जाने दो वाला है। मैं आपको बताने जा रहा हूं, घोषित कल होगा। ये मुंह नहीं दिखा पाएंगे, इंडी अलायंस मुंह नहीं दिखा पाएगा।
जब पता चलेगा कि कहां से
जब पता चलेगा चंदा कहां से आए, उनको मालूम नहीं है कि उन्होंने अपने पैर पर कुल्हाड़ी मारी।
So anyway, but you think if the data, let's say we get it by tomorrow, we have no clue how long it could take to get.
We don't know.
We don't know that
It may happen within minutes, hours, or it may take days.
Right. Okay. Then meanwhile, K. Kavita, who is the daughter of former Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao, was arrested by the Enforcement Directorate on Friday in connection with the Delhi excise policy case that the ED has been pursuing for a long time. In fact, Arvind Kejriwal disobeyed yet another summon and he has gone to court as we speak, but now he's being summoned also in a Delhi Jal Board case.
This looks so motivated. ED spokesperson is giving a statement. It is quite rare. In fact, spokesperson don't speak like this when the case is on. Okay, they don't speak outside the court. So outside the court, he's giving a statement which I read on the front page of all the newspapers, where he's saying that the Chief Minister Kejriwal had conspired with K. Kavita in this Delhi excise case.
And in fact, her brother recorded the arrest because he says she has protection, but you're still picking her up. I don't know what the legal aspect of that is, but we'll get a little more detail from this from Dhanya. In fact, today is a very balanced hafta because one of the issues we'll be discussing has to do with the north and one of the issues we're discussing has to do with the south. So hopefully this time we will not get emails from one side saying the other side was ignored. Then the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Janata Dal United have finalized their seat sharing agreement for the upcoming Lok Sabha polls. The BJP will contest 17 out of the 40 seats while the JDU will fight from 16. The Lok Jan Shakti Party, which is Ramvilas Paswan's, led by Chirag Paswan, will fight 5 seats and his uncle has resigned from the cabinet because he's upset that his nephew's party got seats and he did not. We will get some more details. Meanwhile, when we started recording this, apparently the Tamil Nadu seat sharing formula has also been worked out. Maybe Dhanya can tell us more about that when we discuss it.
Yesterday, I think they announced.
Oh, they've announced it's finalized?
Yesterday, they announced.
Just as I came down, it was coming as a headline, but the anchor wasn't committing whether this is confirmed or this is quote-unquote sources. Meanwhile, item number 13 today on the Supreme Court was the Editors Guild of India and comedian Kunal Kamra, who have challenged the IT rules. This was basically stayed by the Bombay High Court. Then there was a split decision that had come.
Yes.
The third judge who was appointed said that the government can notify the IT rules. Basically, the government can decide what is fact checking because they will set up a fact check unit, and if they tell someone take this down because this is misleading, people have to take it down. And the one time that they did this, an Al Jazeera report, which they made all sorts of accusations, what they claimed the Al Jazeera report was saying, it wasn't even saying that. So it's a rather problematic thing. And since it was listed today, item number 13 of the Supreme Court, last evening, the government notified it quickly.
And the fact check unit also, they in a very hurried fashion, they have appointed the same PIB, which had been doing fact check in the past.
Of which we did a report.
We did a report.
Where they had ordered all wrong fact checks.
Yes.
So anyway, so the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology notified the PIB's fact check unit. So let's see what happens today in court by the time the hafta ends. Then the centre on Wednesday defended the selection of 2 new election commissioners by a committee that excluded the Chief Justice of India. The centre says that the independence of election commission does not arise from the presence of a judicial member on the selection committee. This is in response ADR had filed challenge the appointment. So let's see where that goes. Meanwhile, Guru Ramdev Ji Maharaj, Patanjali Ayurved and Balkishan, they have apologized to the Supreme Court for the company's misleading claims about its products and their medical efficacy. The affidavit was filed yesterday, but I think they'll still have to show up in court, right? Or because the Supreme Court insisted that they have to show up in court.
They have to.
Then a local traders body in Uttarakhand's Dharchula forced Muslim shopkeepers to down shutters and gave a call for their ouster from the town after 2 minor girls were allegedly lured by men from Bareilly. In fact, it's being played up by a couple of channels today in the most grotesque and communal fashion. The Dharchula Vyapar Sangh cancelled the membership of 19 traders. They're mostly Muslims, and those members are stopped from opening their shops for 3 days. The Uttarakhand police have booked members for the traders union. Then the Chinese military has reiterated its claim of Arunachal Pradesh, calling the area an inherent part of China's territory, adding that Beijing never acknowledges and firmly opposes the so-called Arunachal Pradesh, illegally established in India. Meanwhile, the United States also has said that it recognizes Arunachal Pradesh as Indian territory and strongly opposes any unilateral attempts by China to advance its territorial claim. So on that, India is very happy. On what they're not very happy about is the CAA, what the US State Department has said about the CAA. So I guess foreign relations is always a balancing act. Meanwhile, this is an important headline. According to World Air Quality Report, India is the third worst air quality out of 134 countries after Bangladesh and Pakistan. And if you see those 10, it's a list that I don't know how we can be so proud of being on. It has like Burkina Faso, Sudan, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Like I really don't know how we can be a quote-unquote developed country when on air quality we are with...
The air quality, just the Delhi figure?
No, sir, this is all India average.
And this algae is just picked up Delhi and he's
that is though.
criticizing this here.
Then the Israeli military on Monday raided the Al-Shifa hospital in northern Gaza. The horrific pictures of babies dying, injured. I just can't understand. And this guy, Netanyahu, has completely ignored Biden's, well, I won't say requests, but saying that it will be unacceptable for them to enter all the territories that they want to. But let's see where this goes. But at least the thing is that the kind of criticism Netanyahu gets from his own country, press in his own country, is at least there's some kind of democracy there. Here, if there was a war on and you say anything about the great leader, as we got 5 IT notices week before last. Can you imagine there's a war on if you say something, you'll be bloody thrown into prison for terrorism. Anyway, but at least still we are mother of democracy. All right. On that note, I'm going to remind everyone to please contribute to the NL Sena projects and pay to keep news free. So 2 things from you, Dhanya, please, if you could start off with. Actually 3. First, on the electoral bonds, what are the stories the audience should read? If you can't talk about all the stories, because I think your combined teams have done almost like 16 reports on this now, if I'm not wrong. I was counting this morning. I could have got it wrong. A total of 16 reports have been done. And regarding the seat sharing in Tamil Nadu BJP, and finally this whole thing of Rameshwaram Cafe Blast, DMK has filed a complaint against Shobha Karandlaje, I hope I've got the pronunciation right. She said person from Tamil Nadu plants bombs, etc. And she's now also got reprimand by her own party, right? Those are the 3 things. Take them in any order you like.
So the first one about electoral bonds, yes, we have done around 16, 17 stories. But most importantly, we are ready with the material for a lot more stories. We're waiting for the matching of the bonds to happen. It's a consortium of around 30 journalists from the News Minute, Newslaundry, Scroll, and around 10 independent journalists. The names are there. We're calling ourselves Project Electoral Bond. And I can tell you that after a long time, there has been this kind of excitement about a story in the Indian media, at least in the alternate and independent Indian media. 2 stories politically to read is about the Home Minister and his lies and his narratives, going from conclave to conclave, giving out these fraudulent numbers and also spinning his narratives. We've written 2 stories on it. On the bonds itself, obviously we all know that there is a correlation now between raids by central agencies or cases by ED, IT, etc., and the way companies give money. There are more important stories about pharmaceutical companies. These are things that impact us on a daily basis. Companies that were producing important medicines, whose drugs were under question, they were giving money through electoral bonds. We have put out those stories. There are, of course, business people who are under investigation, who may have given for quid pro quo. There's a specific story about this businessman and a BJP MP from Andhra Pradesh who was doing a project in Himachal Pradesh where there is a Congress government. And just days after he signs this dam project with the Himachal State Agency, he gives 40 crores through bonds. Now, we don't know who he gave it to, but Aban Usmani of Newslaundry had done that story. And when we checked as to which parties had redeemed and cashed the amount at the same time, both the BJP and the Congress came up. So quid pro quo, I believe most parties have indulged in quid pro quo. All that will come out now as we match the bonds. The big story, of course, has been on the Santiago Martin, the lottery king from Tamil Nadu, and Mega Engineering. We know that out of 1,300 or 1,400 crores that Santiago Martin gave, around 500 were for the DMK. who did he give the rest of the money to? That's what we're all wondering. Mega Engineering, of course, has been benevolent, giving all parties money. We saw the JDS has put out their list. The DMK also is talking about MEA money. So I guess MEIL has been benevolent in giving everyone money.
Isn't this company close to Mr. Nath of the Congress also? This Mega Engineering, it's and they say it's quite close to the Congress as well. But can you just tell me one thing, Dhanya, that I mean, they say that, you know, there was a time when all the jute industry, tea industry, even the Tatas, ITC group, everyone had the headquarters in Kolkata. Bengal was the hub for corporations. And the thing that I've been hearing for the last 30 years, ever since I entered the news space, was that Bengal is finished. Everyone's moved out of there. No industries are nothing. How does Mamata get so much electoral bonds? Like, what favor can she give to anyone if no one is doing anything there? Why does she get so much money?
And they've got around 1,000, I think, quite a few crores. So I'm not exactly sure where the money has come. Yeah.
1,000.
It could be from pharma industries. We are still waiting, right, for the list. And infra companies. We have seen infra companies and pharma companies give a lot of money. So an educated guess is that TMC also could have got, I'm just looking at the numbers, TMC got 1,700 crores, but 95% of their funding is through bonds. They don't have anything through donations or trust. So almost all their money is through bonds. So who has given it? Let's wait for the breakup. But what I'm hearing is that Santiago Martin also has given them money because there is a lottery business there. So we have to wait. But yeah, it is surprising. Some of these parties, for example, the BRS, the Bharat Rashtra Samiti, which was the ruling party in Telangana, their money really peaked in 2020. I'm just looking at the list. It peaked in 2021, 22 and 23. That's when they were in power. And when the elections were announced, 23-24, they got 496 crores. A lot of these companies which were giving money were from Hyderabad. So we can only assume that the Hyderabad-based companies, which are pharma and infra companies, gave to BRS. But there are so many weird companies. Like the Hindu had a story about at least 7 companies which started, let's say, in June of a year. And they give electoral bonds worth of anything between 4 to 15 crores in the next 2 months. And all these companies have one director who is in the board of a bigger company, which means this is a direct, this is directly started by the big company. There's some sort of money channeling happening, and they're giving this money to bonds.
I'm wondering if the income tax department is investigating these companies that were set up in June, gave crores in a few months later. I don't know what they're doing now, but I guess they're busy investigating Newslaundry because we have done everything wrong under the sun. So yeah, I get that. So on this, any little inputs for our audience before we move on to the seat sharing, etc.?
No, I think, every penny is attached with the string. I believe that. But I will not, as a reporter, I will not still get into that realm so far as the bonds are concerned. Wherever we could, that could pro quo thing, we could do that. But I think I'll wait for more data. In fact, there are 2 stories are in the pipeline from the Newslaundry for the entire team, Scroll and News Minute, which we are, deeply looking into. So I think just wait.
But when the bank doesn't have to say which bond number was redeemed, that you're saying that the state bank says we don't record that data. The redemption they don't record.
But the court has insisted on it. Therefore, we have to see what the state bank says.
Through unique ID, they can easily do it.
They keep asking.
But after that, we need to do our research.
But first, we have to get that unique ID. They have to give that.
I think if like when Bajaj is giving to Aam Aadmi Party, so I find it more ideological than quid pro quo. Okay, I mean political donation in itself is not a crime.
Right.
So I think let's watch.
Any inputs on this, Anand? What all you've read on the whole electoral bond issue?
No, the court has said that you have to divulge all the details that you have. So the ball is in SBI's court. What details it has, it can and file an affidavit by tomorrow. That we have done away with everything that we have. Means we have said everything. So and the smaller regional parties which have shared the details, what has been their methodology for doing so. So one thing that JMM said, was one of the first to do so even before this episode, and they said that one of the donors came for a receipt. He demanded a receipt and we had to give. So it was not this year, even earlier they had shared that. So it was the first to do so because of a very specific circumstance. And the bigger parties like BJP and Congress have said that we are not legally obliged to do so. So we don't maintain it. BJP in paper that it shared with the Election Commission of India in November 2023 said the same, that we don't maintain.
So who all have given? AAP has given, Jharkhand Mukti Morcha has given, I think 4 or 5 parties.
No, AAP has not given the full list.
Okay, they
AAP has given only for the first 2018-19 a few phases. That's.
And JMM has given full list?
DMK has.
DMK has given. Okay, full
DMK has, AIADMK has, JDS has.
All right.
And so this is second thing is that Subhash Chandra Garg, who was the Economic Affairs Secretary when in 2017 when this electoral bonds scheme came, so last month in an interview to the Indian Express he said that he gave the rationale behind the anonymity factor, the same thing that the central ministers have said. And after the SBI first had not declined but didn't say the numbers on the given date and applied for extension, so he was giving this statement that it would be difficult, this extension has no logic, but it would be difficult to match. That logic of SBI is correct, but Supreme Court has not only asked for that, it has first asked for the data. So given the information that he had as secretary, is it really difficult to match? So all the organizations that some quid pro quo is clear, some may be speculative,
and some may emerge as we see when the cashing was happening.
Second point that I was coming to that with reference to what you said about TMC getting, and I think it's also the factor that to which party is more seen as remaining in power for a long time. So the power magnets of a region, and also at a point of time TMC had ambitions in the whole northeast, which has dwindled to a bit now, but also the catchment area was larger, the northeast states plus West Bengal. So, and if you see the pattern of the supposedly quid pro quo transactions, it is more for parties which are seen as horses for the longer race in a particular region. So that could be one of the factors. Second is capital and political parties relationship. Now, as in the last Charcha, I said that the left argument even before independence about crony capitalism, if you read left ideologues, Rajni Palme, that's work India Today in 1942, he charged the Congress party and Gandhi of being very sympathetic to the Indian capital, and quid pro quo he hinted at because according to him Gandhi used to suspend movements at times when it would hit the industrialists. So this charge is not new, even and then the jute industry you said, and this after independence. So the classic left charge is that it is a tautology to say crony capitalism. Simply say capitalism. Cronism is inherent in it. It's an unnecessary word. Crony. So tautology is something that is unnecessary. It's something that
repetitive. When you repeat something.
Yes. So That is one. Third, about South, particularly, since we have a guest here from South. So Prashant Kishore, I think a month ago, when he was asked in one of the interviews about the key difference between North Indian elections and South Indian, he said that, well, bonds and this are a different thing, but the amount of caste prevalent in South elections, and he has managed. He has not managed would be a wrong word. What is that?
Advised, consulted. He's been a consultant to many parties.
In the South also, DMK and YSR Congress. And of course, in North, he has been a consultant to many parties. He said that the scale of caste in South is so much that sometimes it appears that even a whole state by a small party can be contested with the budget of a single candidate in the South. The cash transactions are so much. So beyond bonds, this is the institutional, and at least this they were on record, anonymous but record. But if we look beyond this and we want to inject transparency, one of the suggestions is a state funding, which I don't think political parties will muster much political will to pursue in next 4-5 years, maybe later. But what to do about this cash transactions? This
I mean, also I think like our media makes a big deal of everything that the opposition does, with even Nirmala Sitharaman saying that this was good because that cash will go out of the black money funding of the economy. But I thought demonetization had killed the cash, no? I mean, every 2 years they make up some new shit and the media doesn't question them. Like on the conclave she was sitting and these, jokers like Rahul Kamal and all sitting, grinning, I mean, not asking any question. But, when she said that, he said, but you had said the cash is finished. Where's it coming from? So either that was wrong or this is, but anyway. So that's all about the electoral bonds. I'd just like to move on to election-related things. Now, Dhanya, this DMK filing a complaint against Shobha Karandlaje, does this... this is also something I will talk about when we get to Bihar, BJP tying up with Raj Thakre in Maharashtra. If, the Congress and Lalu are smart, they can just go to town because there's so many clips of what Raj Thakre thinks of Biharis, of Chhat Puja, of all the... I mean, he was not even subtle. I mean, the kind of things he says. Right. I saw one speech of his yesterday. It's in Marathi, but he's talking about Chhat Puja and making fun of Biharis.
गंगा में स्नान करना चाहिए राज ठाकरे को. छठ पूजा उसके घर के बाहर आके करेंगे हम लोग. येऊन तर बघ साल्या, परत जातो की नाही बघ.
I mean, if they run a good campaign, they can finish the prospects of BJP and the allies by invoking that Bihar. This is their ally in Maharashtra.
And Maharashtra also.
So Maharashtra, they can say this is their ally there. So this is what the BJP thinks of you. So similarly, so regionalism is it's a very emotion-evoking thing. What was the stimulus for this remark by this lady? How significant is she politically? And does this mean that she's going to be completely sidelined by her party? Can you tell us a little about this? And why did she say people from Tamil Nadu are where did it come from? Is there some political motivation?
There's no way to understand why Shobha Karandlaje says what Shobha Karandlaje says. I mean, for years that's been, and she's a significant politician. She's a minister of state. She's not a simple small-time BJP leader. She was a minister in Yediyurappa cabinet here. And I think after that also, now she's a minister in Narendra Modi's cabinet. She's a minister of state. So it's not a small fry saying this. And she's had a history. In fact, we have put out a story yesterday recounting. I mean, sometimes I feel that it's important to recount when politicians do hate speech, that it's not a one-off thing for them. They do it continuously, and this is their modus operandi. So but during COVID, she had blamed Malayalis for spreading COVID. During the CA protest also, she had said that Malayalis were behind spreading unrest, especially in the Mangalore region. So initially, she was a leader who was elected from the South Karnataka region, where there is some friction between Keralites and Kannadigas, not at a large scale, but a lot of people from the neighboring Kerala districts come to study in Bangalore. So obviously, these are the normal things going on. She did try to capitalize on that. Then there was a death of a young man called Paresh Mehta, where she made up a lot of fake news, and there were cases filed against her, but nothing happened. Now, of course, she has been chosen to be standing from Bangalore, from North Bangalore constituency. Bangalore has a lot of Tamilian population. So in South Karnataka, if she was pitting Malayalis versus Kannadigas, in Bangalore, she's pitting Tamilians versus Kannadigas. There's no basis to what she said. She said that Tamilians are getting training from Tamil Nadu to plant bombs if they come to the cafe here in Bengaluru. So this is very typical of Shobha Karandlaje to be saying something like this. Not the first time, as I have recounted examples. Will the BJP take any action? No. Why? I mean, they know clearly that this is what she says, and that's why she is there in that party.
And Yediyurappa has condemned this comment, has he not? Or she's not considered close to him? Or is she a part of it?
She was considered close to him. In fact, she was known as his protege. But there was a fallout in between B.S. Yediyurappa and Shobha. At least they were not as close as they were before. And we had actually recently written about how Yediyurappa's son Rajendran, who is the BJP president in Karnataka, was not keen on giving the Chikmagalur seat to, that's a seat which Shobha wanted, to her again. So there is definitely friction. But see, the BJP will distance itself publicly when caught off guard. But the point is, look at Raja Singh, another example, right, from Hyderabad. He was suspended by the party after he made really hateful comments. This is after that Munawar tried to do a comedy show in Hyderabad, and Raja Singh put out a video against Islam and Allah. The BJP suspended him for it because it is a direct video, and there was no way that the BJP could deny it. Now, just before the election, he was taken back into the party and he contested and he won. So the party can take public position sometimes, distancing themselves, but we clearly know that nothing eventually happens, and these people are in fact rewarded. And like you said in the beginning, perhaps by the time this Hafta comes, Nupur Sharma could very well be a candidate of the BJP.
Now, I just find it fascinating that how media plays such an important role, and for so long we had underestimated it. Like this whole Shakti comment of Rahul Gandhi, which was a nothing comment. How Mr. Modi played it up. Now Mr. Modi plays it up, it's fine. Because no matter what people may choose to believe, everyone's not dying to hear what Modi is saying. But the media ran it as if it is the most important. Shakti, insult to Hindu, Shakti, into Shakti.
But Modi gives the lead.
So what? That's how the media takes it. Now, can you imagine if you were to the same level of amplification of what the BJP candidate is saying in Karnataka about Tamilians, what the BJP ally in Maharashtra is saying about Biharis. And these are not such a, because the Shakti was not an anti-Hindu comment. It was just he was just saying that this guy misuses power, basically. And they made it into this anti-Hindu narrative. I just think that this is, I think it shows the desperation of the BJP. B, it's on a platter, yeah. You can just take it to the state and say, here, no comment added, this is the speech of the ally. And of course, people's emotions are going to get hurt, but clearly that. And what about the seat sharing in Tamil Nadu, Dhanya? The BJP is just, in fact, let me get I hope the final data is up, but I think they are contesting just 5 seats out of all, right?
Yeah, but the list has not come out yet. The DMK has announced all its candidates. The BJP's list, of course, everyone's wondering if the President Annamalai will be contesting elections. But it is a curious case where the BJP has completely or almost sidelined the AIADMK. A lot of the allies have shifted positions. Of course, the AIADMK is hanging on to this party called Pattani Makkal Kachi, or the PMK. But many of the others, like Sharad Kumar's AISMK, then there is TTV Dinakaran's AMMK, all of them have joined hands with the BJP. So the BJP is actually building an alliance in Tamil Nadu without the AIADMK.
Which is, so basically AIADMK is out in the cold. In fact, what you said, PMK has been allotted 10 seats.
Yes. No, I can't say AIADMK is out in the cold, but the BJP has become confident to actually form its alliance in Tamil Nadu, which was not something that could have happened even 5 years or 10 years ago. And the only party to be blamed for that is AIADMK itself. the AIADMK allowed the BJP to come into their alliance after Jayalalitha passed away, which is Edappadi Palaniswamy and OPS. And now the BJP at least thinks it has grown to the extent that it can manage an alliance of its own. Annamalai has been going on telling every interview that the BJP will poll 25% of the vote system.
I don't know much about this Telangana governor who has resigned, and I think he's going to contest on
That's
BJP.
what they say.
But is she prominent, Dhanya, in Tamil Nadu?
Yes. Tamilisai Soundararajan was the president of the BJP a few years ago, before Annamalai and L. Murugan's term. She is a popular leader, just like Vanati Srinivas, who is currently an elected from Coimbatore. So we are hearing that she could be contesting from one of the southern Tamil Nadu seats. So the BJP will definitely do better in some of the seats. But surprisingly, a lot of polls by Tamil channels they're questionable, but they've already given like 3 to 4 seats to BJP in Tamil Nadu and around 20 to 25% vote. I would definitely question that kind of numbers, but the BJP will do much better than it did in 2019.
And what about Bihar now? The seat sharing there, Mr. Paswan's son party's got 4 seats. I mean, at least my view was that he's quite a nikamma, that after his father went, his party was nothing. Clearly, the BJP has a lot more faith in him than others did. Is it a step down? And so that's one, if you could just explain to our viewers the seat sharing formula, and in your view, is it smart? And B, how, because I know it was a big issue back when Bal Thackeray was alive, when they beat up all those taxi and auto drivers from Bihar. With Raj Thackeray in their side, you think it is something that could really offend the BJP if used politically smartly?
I don't think it will be a big issue, because I think if that is the logic, then BJP can say that the Telangana Chief Minister, Congress Chief Minister, Revant Reddy, just 2 days after taking office, he said something that we are more intelligent, or DNA kind of comment than Bihari, and this something. And for that matter, DMK was also at the center of a controversy. Anti-Bihari means just.
So Biharis are used to it, basically being discriminated against.
Biharis don't.
They don't give a shit.
No. They take that in stride. They don't play victim card.
They're like Punjabis, basically.
No, victimhood card, because they are too mainstream in Indian politics to play the regional identity card, too much part of the mainland. And
yeah, it didn't even work in Delhi when the Chhat Puja, when Manoj Tiwari tried to make it an issue in Delhi election. It had zero impact.
And also on the radar of political awareness and relevant issues, there are too many things. Before the Bihar Assembly elections, people thought that the media narrative or the response to the Sushant Singh Rajput case would be a factor. But it was nothing, because Bihar is too much politically aware society, even if economically backward, aware society to make these issues major things. So that is... So the seat sharing formula is almost a repeat of 2019, except one seat. Last time BJP and JDU both had 16 each, and LJP had 6 seats, and other...
And LJP that time was not a split LJP, right?
No, not a split LJP.
And sorry, was Ram Vilas alive at the time?
Yes.
5 years ago? He was. So,
he passed away in 2020.
But his passing makes a big difference, right? I mean, his son's LJP is...
So, the thing in Bihar is that LJP is not a cadre-based party. So the split didn't affect the party workforce so much. It is just a very drawing room controlled party. So in that way, the architect of the party was Ram Vilas, and even if his son didn't match up to his stature, the sentimental voter group with Ramvilas is still with his son.
His son, not with
and
the brother.
his uncles are seen as opportunists. But one thing is that why this formula worked out, we have to go to 2 months earlier, when the re-entry of Nitish and Chirag Pasman has no love lost with Nitish. So the reconciliation happened. Means it's an intelligent guess, just that Chirag would be accommodated well in the seat sharing when Lok Sabha elections come, and that was supposedly the BJP's deal. And
I would speculate on another deal, because considering all the films that are being made now, from Savarkar to Jihad story to this, his deal should have been revive my Bollywood career and take all the seats. Wouldn't that have been better for him?
He has settled for, there are also reports that he has settled for 1 seat less, because he just wanted to keep his uncle out. So even 1 less seat is acceptable, but not accommodate the rival group within the. So
there is a danger of them cutting into each other's vote, right? Both the rival groups. That is a real danger, I'm guessing.
Not much, because as I said earlier, the
the sympathies with the son, but it is a highly community driven vote, right? And the community is the same, I'm guessing. I mean, the past one, I remember when I covered my third election, it wasn't like cover as a reporter, but I used to write political satire. Paswan had the record for the highest margin ever
in 1977.
He had
Guinness World Record.
Yeah, so it had at least till 2004, that was still the record. I think that was broken later,
by
right?
Narasimha Rao. I think Narasimha Rao broke it.
So that was probably before 2004 then, right?
So, but the thing is that on their own, LJP is not in a position to win 5 seats. Even in 2019, they won 6 seats because of the transfer of votes worked well for them from BJP to this. So being ally works there. JDU, I think the seat adjustments are more about not upsetting the cart now, and look for what this is an election coming up. There is an election coming up in 2020 assembly elections. So now BJP's game plan seems to be now don't upset the allies and keep them in good humor by being generous to them, and look for a harder bargain in assembly elections. So
Anand, no one is talking about caste census. What happened to it? Now this the CM is going to use it for BJP and his own party. Is it going to play any role?
There are 2 credit games going on. One is that 10 lakh job, out of which they have given 3 lakh jobs, government jobs. So RJD's prime claim is that when we were in the government for 17 months, we got it done. And also the caste census. Now the RJD and JDU battle lines are about the credit, who gets credit for that.
So Dhanya, if you could just come in. Also a comment, we don't have anyone from there, but Pradyot Dev Burman, who was so critical of the BJP, they've reached out to him. He's also allied with them for the Lok Sabha election from Tipra Motha. And I think Tripura has 1 seat.
Yes, 1 seat.
Lok Sabha seat. And they've promised him, whatever tribal council, etc. he wanted. So
they signed an agreement.
Clearly the BJP is reaching out to all regional players, even who can give them 1 or 2 seats and giving them whatever they want. Of course, that's a different matter. Many people tell me that, they will promise, but they will not be able to deliver. And then it'll be too late for whoever they can walk out, but they've already won. So, I mean, I don't know how they'll play that. But they are reaching out to, like Dhanya was saying, even in Tamil Nadu, all the smaller parties, the smallest parties there. Like Anand said, it's very difficult to play that anti-Bihari card and electorally get any gains in Bihar, and clearly the large Bihari population in Delhi also did not really care about that whole identity politics which Manoj Tiwari tried. In the South, it works more effectively, you think, a Kannada versus a Malayali versus a Tamil, or there also it doesn't really work politically, so it won't really matter when it comes to voting?
No, I doubt anybody in Bangalore North is going to vote for Shobha Karandaje because she said that Tamilians are planting bombs, or even during COVID, when they were trying to instigate trouble, saying that Malayalis were behind bringing COVID cases or behind the CA protest. But what can happen is that, like I also explained, the BJP has been making progress in Tamil Nadu, but the Tamil Nadu parties can use what Shobha Karandaje said against Tamilians to drive sentiments against the BJP. But there are things that BJP also can use. For example, Udinidhi Stalin's comments or A. Raja's comments on Sanatana Dharma, which people of Tamil Nadu perhaps understand because they've had that politics, the Dravidian politics of questioning Sanatana Dharma. BJP can use that in the northern states or even in states like Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So I think all parties do say things which the opposition can use. The question here really is about the credence which the media also gives to these campaigns, right? How do the media see all these statements as equal? Even if they are unequal, they definitely give more credence to what the BJP is wanting to say about the opposition. So that is how the narrative actually spreads.
Raman sir, on this, I want to just discuss one final thing before we, let Dhanya go and take up the emails. Although I wanted to stay just for one email. On this, any of this about regionalism working at a national level, do you think there are any particular areas where it works more?
I think it hasn't ever been smartly played. Even, in the Delhi case that you're talking about, it was just an attempt on individual part. As you said about Modi, giving lead to the media and media giving credence to whatever he says. So if the opposition also tries, if they have social media, they have entire machinery, if they also pick up such issues and try to use it, effectively and politically, I think they can. I think it will make an impact. This Raj Thakre, the speeches are so...
Yeah, they're really vile, man. If I was Bihari, I'd be pissed off, man. I would be really pissed off.
If you start playing, if you dramatize
he's also so crass now. He's a different level,
yeah.
He puts everybody to shame. Also, I think because he's not interested in winning elections. He's like a child who likes attention. I really don't, because as an electoral force, he's nothing.
He's sulking most of the time. If you just look at his picture, if you read, you can read his mind. Even Amit Shah is all smile and he's
always shadowing.
And I remember meeting him when I was with the Indian Express in Bombay. So there also, I was also trying to, make him cheerful, make the things lighter before we start talking about,
but
the
he will shadow.
But he was just like that.
I think this is, I think he was a pioneer of the syndrome which now has hit Nirmala Sitharaman. It has hit Amit Shah. It has hit Smriti Irani. They cannot answer a question normally. We've, of course, taken this up in Nuisance this time. That no matter how innocuous a question that's asked, Acha, what are you trying to say? Dude, I'm just saying hi, how are you doing? It's so the issue that I want to talk about is that I know many journalists have divided on this. Many of my own friends have views on it. So I just want to know, the panel's views, because both of you are heading newsrooms. You yourself, sir, in your 30-year career, 25, of just managing teams. Of course, for the first 10 years, you were a reporter yourself, but then you were...
I am manager.
And Dhanya has been doing this for so long. One of the things that have... And there are various positions on this, that the Ramnath Goenka Award was sponsored by Adani. So there are many friends of mine who I really respect, and we disagree on several things, say that, dude, this should be called out. Of course, you're talking to someone, Newslaundry, whose media rumbles are sponsored usually by Facebook and Google. Now, while only our events are sponsored by them and the rest of our regular reportage is purely subscription driven, but our events were sponsored by two of the most hated and vilified companies in the world, not just in India. Now, I get it. I get the connection that if you're saying that big corporation is buying up news, should they be the primary sponsors of one of the most prestigious awards in the country? At the same time, I think there is some value in the Ramnath Goenka Awards. I mean, they are among the only 3 awards, I think, in India that have a jury that's transparent. You know who the jury is. That there's a system. It's not that we've pulled a bloody winner out of our ass and said, oh, now, whatever, so-and-so is the winner of. So, and, you may not agree with all their products, but I mean, in all fairness, they have given Ramnath Goenka Awards to people who have done some really terrible journalism, but have done one amazing story, and they reward that story. Sudhir Chaudhary being an example of that.
2013.
So it's complicated. And of course, for new journalists, it is a big, it is a motivating factor. It builds morale. But I also get that should every journalist on news event be, have the logo of, a Reliance or an Adani or an Ambani, etc. And you cannot live life through extreme positions. I mean, let's face it, you have to see what is strategically good at what time, how, what can you fight. You cannot fight everybody all the time. So I just want to know your position on this. I mean, how complicated is it? What are the shades of grey that a general non-news ka keeda, because we guys live in news, people who don't just get snaps. So what are the greys? What are the subtexts? What are the nuances of this whole thing? Because, we ourselves are talking about it all the time. But in all fairness, when Maria Ressa, who won the Nobel Prize, when she came for our event, she from stage trashed Facebook. She says, Facebook has killed democracy in my country. They are an evil company. I mean, she did not hold back. But not once did Facebook say, we will not be associated with you again. I guess they are too big. They don't give a shit. But the fact is, she sat on a Media Rumble stage, sponsored by Facebook, and finished Facebook. Matlab Facebook ki usne, as PM says, mother or sister of democracy kar di. But could you do that to Adani from a stage? I mean, Indian companies expect that once they've paid you, you will charge to their feet. They don't say, we've paid you, now go do what the fuck you want, including bitch us out. I mean, is it like that? Yeah, so that's...
No, this Maria example is quite true, in Indian Express case also. Indian Express, I was associated with them for 12 to 14 years. So there I found them, if somebody is giving advertisement, but they do write against them. I'll give you an example. This Tata Alpha tapes, which was a very big story. In fact, story of the decade, way back 20-25 years ago. And there the Tata stopped giving advertisement, but then again it came back and started giving ads. So I feel that if Express, even Adani, I mean, I also raised my eyebrow, but so long as Express file stories, factual stories against Adani, I think I'm okay with it. Likewise, I mean, I can say that we are already developing a story which goes against Adani in the bonds case. So we have already found some companies. So we are digging deeper into it before we announce and before we publish it. So long as we also do it and we have accepted this award, so I think it is fine. You cannot isolate yourself. In this entire thing, you cannot, you don't need to amplify. You don't need to amplify the fact that Adani has sponsored, this award.
He also sponsors the Red Ink Awards this year. He's basically sponsoring everything to do with news.
So long as you're filing stories fearlessly, you are amplifying it. That you are
right. But our entire logic is that if the model is dependent on big industrialists, it gets compromised, if not today, 10 years from now. But of course, but also, there's the founder of Zomato, who also got into some shit recently with his vegetarian fleet, said that the models of all industries are changing every 3 to 5 years. So nothing can sustain and change a product. I mean, we'll have to see. Dhanya, what's your position on this? How complicated or nuanced is this entire discussion?
So I'm quite clear on the fact that the question of Adani sponsoring the awards, which is the Ramnath Goenka Awards, cannot be directed to the journalists who are receiving the award, especially young journalists. For example, in my team, 3 journalists called Prajwal Bhatt, Azifa, and Balakrishna got the awards. I don't think the onus is on Prajwal, Azifa or Bala to really say whether they should accept or reject the awards, because they have been doing their job and wonderfully so, which is the reason why out of all those entries, they have gotten selected. So if it is anybody's onus, it is for the senior people in the industry to tell and for others to question the Indian Express as to, is there no other money that they could have gotten for these awards? That is one thing, right? The onus is on the Indian Express to tell its readers, tell people who are questioning them. Second, I do agree with Raman sir that as long as the Indian Express as a publication, the other publications who have gotten the awards continue to do their stories without any bias, without any favor, then that's fine. I would, however, question the Indian Express's coverage of electoral bonds. I was appalled at the story they wrote about Mega Engineering, saying that Mega is a company that came up from a shed. This is not the time to write a puff piece on how Mega started as a company. It's a time for an organization to look at what are the deals which Mega got at that time. And I'm hoping they will write it at some point of time. The third question I would like to know, which I'm uncomfortable with, is that when someone like Adani sponsors an award event, what happens to those fantastic investigations which are done against Adani? Will the jury take those stories into consideration? I do not know whether I think the story is in 2023 by Ravi Nair and Anand of OCCRP, which came after the Hindenburg papers. There are also investigations by Raj Shekhar. So if those were to be sent for awards, will those be also looked at the jury impartially? That's the question which really bothers me. Not just about Adani, but about any company that's sponsoring an award. We've had various instances where Vedanta has been sponsoring. Now it's Adani. I'm sure Ambani has sponsored awards. What happens to the jury? Will they be under any kind of direct or indirect pressure on any awards to then discard these stories?
So I think when it comes to the jury, at least, I think one of the important aspects of getting a jury of this type, I'll tell you who the jury this year was. It was Justice B.N. Sri Krishna. He's a former judge of the Supreme Court of India. Professor C. Rajkumar. He's the founding dean of Jindal Global Law School. And Dr. S.Y. Qureshi, who even we know of. And K.G. Suresh, Vice Chancellor of Makhanlal Chaturvedi National University. I'm not sure who this person is, but at least I know who three of these people are. And these are people of a certain stature who you can't say that, can you do this or can you do that? They're too big for that. Like, you'd be a bit embarrassed. So I think picking a jury is key.
Also key.
Also because, a few years ago, when we, in partnership with the Population Foundation of India, had given a fellowship to about a dozen journalists to write stories on public health, but not Hindi or English. It's all language journalists. The jury was Madhu, Sanjoy Roy, and the head of PFI. Now, I met all three people. Even if I had wanted ki yaar mere dost ke bacche ko de do, I can't go and say that to Madhu or, the head of PFI, because they are they say, Niku, shut up, go to the other room, we'll call you when we're done. You see, they are too big for me to kind of say anything to them. So I think if you pick a jury like that, to some extent that can get insulated, even no matter what the brand associated.
Maybe, but I'm saying those are the questions which people are asking, right? I've seen these discussions on journalist groups also.
Right.
People ask these questions as to, will they then take an Adani story, or will they? So these are questions that everybody's asking.
What do you make of this? It's how grey is it? I know my positions on advertising are quite black and white in regular coverage, but then why do you make an exception for events?
No, but Indian Express coverage of Hindenburg was relentless.
Yeah, this was relentless.
It was very good.
Correct. But as Nirmala Sitharaman asks, are you sure that the bond or the sponsorship was given before the offending article or after the offending article?
I think sponsorship and advertisement, we can also make a distinction between the two. But for print media, the right to advertise has been won through constitutional battles. I have written on it.
A piece on that, correct.
So the Times of India group in 1972 won a case that right to advertise is a right to circulate, because circulation power comes through that, the revenue, and it is a part of the freedom of speech, and Supreme Court has held that right to advertise is right to circulate in a number of cases. In Hindustan Times case also in 2002, and in Indian Express versus Union of India case 1985. So print media has won that as a constitutional right, that because that was a time when governments were curtailing the newsprint supply.
And it was a significant, if not the biggest advertiser.
That you cannot take paper for advertising. So newspapers said that we need to advertise, we have to earn revenue and to circulate, and that was the print dominance time. So Supreme Court held that yes, right to advertise is an integral part of right to freedom of speech. That is one thing. Second thing, we can say relate it to what about say some university events like sponsored by companies. So
Right.
if there is a seminar sponsored by a certain group of companies and the subject of the seminar demands a critique of certain corporate entities, is it done? My experience is that critique is done irrespective of that. If a media house is in a similar position and does that, then this sponsorship may not be problematic. Also, the sports, many major sport events, and they are sponsored by companies,
Which are terrible for health, like Coke and Pepsi.
yeah. And but do a sports person participating in that, if those companies have some, like you said, some ill effects on certain aspects of life, if they don't, if they ignore it or say, are for life bound not to say anything against it, then that is problematic. Otherwise, it's fine. Say if you need money to run a show and someone is providing it without any thing attached to it, then it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to have, like, for example, there's certain clauses that are in SHAs. They can just tell a young audience this as they become entrepreneurs. Like, Newslaundry has that if any of our investors give an editorial instruction, there's something called for cause. For cause kehta na, if it's a part of the cause and if you do that, you forgo your shares or whatever. So for cause, your shares can be taken if you have given an instruction to Newslaundry to do something. So when someone buys shares in the company, they know that. So that means if they give an instruction or a request, they risk losing their shares because it's part of the contract. There are certain companies that have a very strict firewall between editorial and this thing.
Express did have.
So, I mean, there are ways and then there are ways. But on one thing I would say, really, Jawaharlal Nehru was a visionary. And I think it is the greed of I won't call them entrepreneurs, they were just rich brats. The entire Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg kehte na, wo jo Fleet Street of India. All those plots that were given to Times House, this house, that house, National Herald also. I mean, let's face it, these guys just made it a cash cow for themselves. What the fuck was National Herald doing? It was a nothing paper. And I mean, you give me that building, with no resources, sir. Newsminute, Newslaundry are making such a big deal. Basically, the deal was that Jawaharlal Nehru said that, I don't know whether it was his idea or whoever's idea it was, that, and not just in Delhi, in all the metros, there were big plots given and buildings given to newspapers, the criteria being that 33% will be used for news-related activities and 66% you can rent out. So the rent will pay for your news costs.
And there will be a press.
And you have to publish the press within so that you don't rent out the whole thing. Of course, now the printing press is out, so maybe they should upgrade to the leases. But that is how Times, Express, all these newspapers, National Herald had got all those plots of land. Now, the problem is that basic Indian businessmen are so greedy. They said, fuck the paper, we've got this bloody 5,000 crore building. We will just print like one shit all paper once in a while and we will maintain a lifestyle of plush top 1% with the building. They were not interested in doing anything on the news. But that is a very good model because you give it to anyone on rent. It could be Adani taking it on rent, it could be a Panwala taking it on rent, it could be a Reddy taking it on rent, it could be, Modern Bazaar taking it on rent, it could be a Vimal showroom, it could be a Maruti showroom. Who gives a shit? I get 66%. I can, pay my reporters, etc. And if you need more, then your dependence on external. It's a fantastic model. And that is the whole National Herald ka jhagda yahi hai na, that you are not using it to run a paper, you are using it to just make rent.
No, that was a model for Indian Express for a very, very long time. Goenka, they were surviving on the real estate. The kind of buildings that they had
But
got.
at least they were publishing a paper.
They were publishing a paper.
So many, there are almost 15 plots there. I'm sure our audience hasn't heard of half those papers.
Yeah.
Even I had something.
Arjun. There is something from Northeast also.
And they have, but the whole building and the rental you're getting from that is 1 crore, 2 crore a month, and you're doing nothing with it. So, trust greedy rich people to fuck up even a decent model. Is there such a street in Bangalore also which has all these newspapers are given land? I know Calcutta has.
Have you ever applied?
Calcutta has, Madras. Have you applied I know that, by the way, in UP, there are a new film city is being given, and there are some new age news entrepreneurs who are getting major land there. We shall be doing a story on it at some point. Dhanya, is that, do you think that's a good model?
There definitely are concessions for news organizations. I think the newspapers, but there are certain governments which give houses to journalists. Over the years, my take on this has changed a bit on housing given to journalists. And in the beginning, I used to vehemently oppose it. But now when I see how badly journalists are paid, I don't know whether I can't blame some of these people for actually taking these houses. But that's a larger topic. It can't be discussed in 2 lines. But yes, a lot of media houses do get concessions in land, definitely in all the states.
Right. So we will move on to the emails. But before that, let's say goodbye to Dhanya. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for your team, and congratulations to your team. This entire joint effort, it is, 3 different teams, not three different teams and independent journalists coming together. It's, logistically a difficult exercise, and it's always hard overnight for teams to come together who've never worked together. So congratulations on that challenge and how you guys have pulled it off. What recommendation do you have before we say goodbye to you?
So I have 2 recommendations this week. One is not a book. It's a story that everybody should read. It's on this himalmag.com. I think you should invite Rajendran next week for Hafta. It's a story by the investigative journalist Rajendran. He looks at Anand Ambani's private zoo in Jamnagar. It's an investigation which took him 6 months. A long time, because Ambanis are like, people who work with them are also people who strictly follow something like an Omerta code, very difficult. So Rajendran's story actually puts through very, very uncomfortable questions on one, how India's laws were changed to ensure that more and more animals are transported to the zoo in Jamnagar. Second, are wild animals. This is supposed to be a rescue and rehabilitation center, but it seems like wild animals are being taken there. There are also a lot of endangered animals being brought to the zoo. It's a fantastic story, 2 parts. It's come on the website called himalmag.com. So I recommend that everyone should read the 2 stories. Book-wise, I have to suggest this book. I've not finished it fully because of all this happening. I couldn't read it, but it's called The Assamese by Sangeeta Barua. I don't know if somebody suggested this book earlier, but for me, it definitely gave me a peek into the identity of an Assamese, what is their culture. She actually works with The Wire. She's a political editor of The Wire. So that's the book recommendation for the week.
Thank you. And my recommendation to our listeners is, other than listen to Dhanya's recommendation, do contribute to the News Minute as well. They have done some fantastic work. And the more subscribers they have, just overall, you just become that much uninhibited while reporting. Thank you, Dhanya. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. So before we move on to the other recommendations, let's get the emails. We only entertain emails of subscribers. We do not entertain non-subscriber emails. Just letting you guys know. You can mail us at podcasts@newslaundry.com. I repeat, podcasts@newslaundry.com. Please keep the word count below 150 words so we can include as many emails as possible. Or you can click on the link in the show notes below. It will open out this window and you can fill in your comments, your critique, your suggestions, advice, etc. there. So let's start. This is from Saju Varghese. Climate fast in Ladakh led by Sonam Wangchuk is not getting the eyeballs, and it was anyway expected. Have not seen attention from Newslaundry. Request your team to have appropriate coverage in this phase. I think we've done one story on this. We interviewed him, when we started the fast. So Saju, we did, I think the link of that interview will be in the show notes because I've seen that. But I think Saju means that it's entered its 15th day today and he's sleeping outdoors in like minus 15 degrees. And he is a celeb. He was a celebrated voice of Ladakh at one point. And they say 10,000 Ladakhis are going to march to that area which they say China has taken over to. But the legacy media has not even touched this story, even as a ticker.
Yes.
So I think that is,
It's playing on social media, and we had done an interview with him.
Right. Okay. The next is Rishi. Says, are you aware of any media organization using artificial intelligence to get insights of data revealed related to electoral bonds? Do you have any plan to use AI to do this or other things related to reports? I believe NL subscribers may be aware of AI tools, and if you have any ideas about using new tech to digest this or other data, they can help. Do you have any plans to get help from subscribers? I think you should start with smaller projects like beta features to see how feasible it may be to get help from subscribers. So Rishi, we actually have used our subscribers. Our app, it was first sent out to the people who had contributed, the NL Sena, because a bunch of people had contributed for the tech fund that actually made the app possible. The new features that we kept adding, the accessibility features, the beta version was said. When it comes to AI, we are experimenting with the tool. It is less than perfect, but we are seeing, because we have to stay abreast of technology. So some of the, not the detailed reports, but some of the shorter reports, our desk is using AI technology. Of course, it's not ki bhai AI gaya and chhap diya. The final eyes are always of the editor, which is where we are catching that AI gets a lot of things wrong as well, including headlines, etc. So we are using it in different ways. Any other ways, sir, that I'm aware of? In this whole data deciphering, was AI useful or helpful, or did you guys use it in any way? Because there's a lot of data that was dumped, right?
We used other things other than AI. See, the main thing here is finding out who gave whom, that money. So that we could not find it so far. I mean, because we don't have the unique ID. So we keep trying. We have tried the best software so far to get information out of this data, to analyze this data.
Are you aware of any AI tools that are being in law that are being used?
Law researchers are using AI tools.
But it is not at any stage. Like they're saying chartered accountants could be replaced soon, but lawyers can't, right? Just to write contracts, I guess. AI can write contracts, but not argue a case, right?
Yes, but also the analytical challenges will be there. Like they can give you regulations, analyze for you to an extent. But specifics of the case, the application, that would be a challenge for AI as it exists today. Maybe it can advance.
Yeah. Also, I'm sure it'll advance at a insane rate. Then Anonymous says, Abhinandan, thank you for all the amazing work. I'm guessing that when you said you, quote, cracked the most difficult exam, unquote, your sample included IIT Madras, which with your recent visit, it might seem as saying how in general these institutes didn't impart any political or civic sense. However, I think given the fact you went to an e-cell event at IIT Madras reflects the openness and eagerness of us to be aware of politics and society around us. Although it was for entrepreneurship, can you share your talk there if possible? My own political social awakening happened there thanks to many spontaneous interactions, which has also one of the best environments any engineering college can get. And I agree a majority of students could still be like the way you saw, but not all. Something embarrassing for me. Saffronization of education institutes. IITM hosts Kashi Tamil Sangamam, a pilgrimage which is arbitrary, unrelated to them and enraging for me. Annamalai gets garlanded by professors and 2 hours to speak as a political stint. So Anonymous, first of all, I really apologize if, because I made that observation very shortly after my IIT visit, it may appear that I was talking specifically about IIT, which I wasn't. But yes, I will be lying if I don't say that my experience there also. I mean, see, that the first thing I say that when you're that young, when you're in college, even if you don't know nothing, even if you don't follow politics, it's fine. I don't hold it against kids. I think that should be the age of a certain amount of innocence. Because later on, your politics will catch up with you no matter what you do. You cannot insulate, you cannot remain apolitical. But I think when you're in college, it can divide people. So I'm not a huge supporter of being very political in college. It was an observation that when you are called and the audience looks adult enough, they don't look like children. Like in a school, you don't mind. And yet, when because they're voting, right? The ignorance on just the political history of their own areas. So it sometimes irritates you. But often when I reflect, I feel I was being impatient. So, but yes, I get what you're saying. Point noted. Thank you. By the way, for our audience, the reference here was that I had said that whenever I go lecture, some of the finest colleges. By the way, Anonymous, I wasn't only talking about IITs, also IIMs. The Delhi University, the average Delhi University undergrad knows so much politically than if I go to even IIMs outside or IITs. So I was just saying that it's a little frustrating that you see kids at JNU or Delhi University, etc. And then you go lecture at the top colleges and they don't know anything. Do you think it's just Delhi, Anand, since you are back in DU? It's just Delhi people know a lot politically because they have political kidas? Because basically, you weren't there for that hafta. I was just shadowing as I always am. Ki bhai, when I go to these top colleges and you talk about something, they are blank. They have no idea.
No,
but if you go to a Hindu, Kirodimal, Law Fac, they bloody know more than you. So it just annoys you sometimes. Ki, dude, I've flown 2 days to come and talk to you and you guys know nothing. So am I being a dick and unfair? Anand, you're back in college. What do you think? You also train kids from all over the country. Is there a difference in different areas, or is it that IITs don't expect you to know anything politically? So,
no, there was a time when it was a fashion statement to say that I am not interested in politics. So, and that also was a cover for not knowing who is the Prime Minister. So, yes, many people. I mean, there was a time. Now, at least it is taken as ignorance.
But is there a generalization of certain areas, certain geographies, certain kind of colleges?
Yes, around 2013-14, I lived in Mumbai. I thought that people there, not students on the street, they thought that Mumbai was the world. And they didn't know anything
about the rest of India. Even I felt in Mumbai.
So, even adjoining states, they don't know much. So, the difference between other metro in place and Delhi is in Delhi you can, by just positioning yourself, you are at least having this sense that you are seeing India, not because of the demographic, which may be quite monolithic in certain localities, but you are having a sense that you are looking at India. But that is even for all its cosmopolitan claim, Mumbai does not give you that sense, because man on the street, if you talk anything about other states, my experience was that he is either not interested or not knowing anything. So
that was my experience. I mean, in fact, yours may have been a little better, because when I was there, I was working on a film. And when you're working on a film in Mumbai, at least back then, I don't know what it is right now, when you're working, like if you're shooting at Filmistan or Mehboob Studio, whatever it is, there are 3-4 films being shot. So during lunch, everybody comes together. At work, you're only talking to filmy people. After work, you're only socializing with filmy people. Even there, you're only talking film. And your aspiration is to be invited to Shah Rukh's party. So your whole world, forget next state. You don't even know what's happening in Andheri unless Shah Rukh is shooting there. So I was like, dude, the level of ignorance was... And it's not an exaggeration when Anand says they don't know who the PM is. Because I'm talking the 90s.
Yeah.
They actually, if you ask them who's the PM, of course, 90s the PM kept changing. So you can pardon them. Is it I.K. Gujral? Is it Narasimha Rao? Is it H.D. Devagowda? But the point is that you genuinely met adults in their 20s who did not know who the Prime Minister of the country was, and they were working in film.
The coffee, Karan with coffee. I think somebody asked the question about president, who is President of India. So they couldn't answer.
I remember there was this very famous interview of Sanjay Dutt in News Track. And the reporter asked him, Bombay people don't know, film industry people don't know anything of what's happening in the country. And he was like, हो रहा है क्या पता कौन है मतलब आप उनको chill रहने का आप उनको क्या हो रहा है कुछ नहीं जानने का. That his whole answer was, and we used to watch that for entertainment sometimes. We used to just play that whole tape and not Sanjay Dutt's interview, because after he got in for Tada, we were watching his old interviews. We're like, beta, ab tujhe pata hai desh mein kya ho raha hai.
No, even in Delhi University, during my time, I noticed that science students and IT students, they were a little away.
Also, I think that the sheer amount of other
work.
data that they have to, they don't have time for this also.
They are in lab most of the time.
Then Miraj Rizvi says, I'm writing this to congratulate Abhinandan and the NL Let's Talk About team for producing such a well-rounded, well-researched and balanced episode on the Palestine-Israel issue. Weren't you the producer of that? Priyali produced that. You produced the Kashmir one. The Kashmir one is also out. Miraj, please listen to that. Our wonderful Aryan produced that. I don't think you all have been acknowledged and thanked enough for this. I also think that most of us do not appreciate how challenging it is even to pick the people you would interview, let alone conduct a whole interview. Those of us who don't have skin in the game or influence can only educate ourselves and pray for peace. Empathy for those who are suffering should not be contingent on national alliances and cultural bonhomie. And bloody conflict should break our hearts at least to the point where it forces us to seek truth, understanding and empathy. I felt that in this episode. Miraj, thank you so much for your generous praise. And I'm amazed how much you've been able to communicate in 134 words. Maybe you're a précis writing teacher, but thank you. Please learn from Miraj how in such few words you can pack in so much. Thank you. Then Ishita says, in a conversation with my father-in-law, a Modi supporter, over electoral bonds, I realized the following. In this post-truth era, people consume news in their own echo chambers. Despite acknowledging that news is biased, he believes his sources offer factual information and refuses to consider alternative sources. He insists that he doesn't support any party but has seen Modi do great for the country. He refuses to accept the reality which he believes is my truth based on false narratives. At the end, we were drained to even raise the issue like farmers' protests, Manipur violence, restless protests and so on. It's disheartening to see what people will never acknowledge. It's disheartening to see that people will not acknowledge the flaws in the current government. What's even more concerning is their reluctance to engage in questioning the government's actions. My existential and rhetorical question then is, how does one even convince someone to look at reality? So, Ishita, I'll only say this from experience with friends, relatives, etc. And there are various things that I do. There are certain people who I think have seen enough, know enough, and they are coming from a position of bigotry. It's not like they don't know what's happening, but bigotry is very inherent part of their personality. And even if they did not have the economic arguments, they would still want a nation that persecutes a certain religion. So I cut off from them. I have no interest in them. Whether they are family members, I don't give a shit. I'm like, fuck it. This person is not important in my life. But I don't lose sleep in changing their mind. Because I think overall, you can't, you can't go through life trying to change people's minds in one conversation. Certain people do change over time. You give them information, they are open to consuming it. They will change their mind every now and then based on whatever data is available in front of them. And there are certain people who I genuinely, in one conversation, I have made them see things that they wouldn't refuse to see earlier. So I think all three kind of exist. I would just say that you should not if you're just surrounded by bigots, I know it's hard. There have always been bigots in the world. There will always be bigots in the world. You cannot shadow your own self because of that. Governments will come and go, ideologies will come and go. You do your bit and see what else there is to look forward to. I would not, fuck my mood because someone's a dick. That's all. Any other inputs have you have, Ishita, Anand, sir?
No, I'm a bit flexible about it. I think it naturally happens at times. You just, get away with the people who just refuse to listen to the reason, or they don't want to argue about, something. He will just keep defending. So it naturally happens. But in some cases, when it doesn't happen, I try not to discuss politics. But if it gets discussed, yes, I'm forcefully.
There was this very hateful, horrible book that had been published after the Delhi riots with all sorts of mandhalang narratives about how it was this Muslim conspiracy. One of the authors of that book is actually a fairly close relative of mine. But I haven't seen her in ages. I probably will not see her now till I die. So I really don't give a shit, I'm not going to make an effort to keep in touch.
Yeah,
So
that is for sure.
Anonymous says, I think the messaging around electoral bonds case is too complicated for people to understand it right now. In the past, we have understood scams through a speculative figure. XX rupees ka ghotala. People may not understand what happened in 2G or coal scam, but ghotala is, they remember. Good point. The associated figure drives the narrative. This case as well needs to be broken down for the public to make them understand the financial, social and environmental costs of the public, because the government favored certain corporations in exchange of opaque donations. It's important to bring about issues like extortion, etc., but everything needs to stand behind a figure. What was the cost to the public? I know it will be a difficult figure, but that's how investigations should lead. It's funny that Amit Shah on Public Forum says that donations are in proportion to how much power BJP has. The next obvious question should have been asked, why are you admitting to quid pro quo? Good point, yes. But of course, who's going to ask that question? Rahul Kamal, Kalipuri, like seriously. But on this, he's absolutely right. There is some CAG report which says that the delay in a certain decision that the Delhi government took cost whatever 9,000 crore because the decision was delayed. It is not saying that that delay was because someone was taking money. They've just said that a decision was delayed. Today I saw some media houses leading 9,000 crore ka ghotala.
I know.
But he's right. Just that
Word.
itne crore ka ghotala. They were not seeing the fine print. But yeah, true. Then Ibrahim says, happy birthday to the Newslaundry team. I would like to congratulate you for all the great success and growth you have achieved, from being a media critique website to taking over the mantle of mainstream news when legacy media was sitting in Godi. It's been a pleasure to follow your news. After the election bond case revelation, I think you should change your tagline to Modi apni wasuli aur Newslaundry apna hafta kabhi nahi chhodte. Good on, Ibrahim. I shall think about it from jail. I am having withdrawal symptoms since I have not been able to get my daily dose. Would like the podcast to start back, especially with election season here. Ibrahim, during election season, we will start with a few shows and podcasts, but we discontinued daily dose because we actually, I don't know whether you got that, we sent a, questionnaire to many of us subscribers. There were many, I think it had about 22 questions. And one of the things that we were trying to decide from that was that why do people consume Newslaundry? And it was overwhelming that people actually don't come to us for, daily news. They come to us to understand what's happening. They come to us for analysis, and they also come to us for investigative reports, but not daily news. And the amount of production time, producers and resources that are being used for daily dose, we said if that is not what people expect from us, until we have so many resources that we can just deploy some resource for that. Because the reporters, we have 8-9 reporters. So for them to do daily dose and pursue the investigations, which can take anything from 1 week to 1 month, was being a difficult one to kind of... So if we do start it, we'll have to put one person in charge only of daily dose. And right now, that's not how we would spend our money most. We'd like to have more reporters out there.
True.
Then Commander Shepard, he's written again, says, and Commander Shepard, again, your email is 258 words. But anyway, because it's the last one, we shall read the whole thing. This is Commander Shepard from the Mass Effect series, back again. Your discussion on Indian mentality and revolution for past 3 haftas were really good. I suggest you all should dedicate a full episode on it. A good point, actually. Let's talk about revolution. Good point. We'll think about this one. Referring to the last email, I guess propagandists won't work in India due to the discussed mentality and cross-sectionality of Indians, which would end up making everything very niche. What is everybody's obsession with calling those who you don't agree with a communist? Brother, being a communist in India is a good thing. We are a socialist nation. The last time I checked, communist is a subclass or adjacent to socialism. Stop with your Amera brain. I guess that's America brain. Amera brain propaganda. Saying this to, I guess he's referring to someone on the Hafta who was probably trashing communism, I'm not sure. In the last email, I was trying to just point out how pea-brained Arnab is, that he can't create his own propaganda and resorts to copying the American model, which is the Fox model. Rather, get creative and make something that us Indians would enjoy. I, a lefty OBC with a useless commerce degree who doesn't even subscribe to his worldview, can come up with better propaganda. And if he gets paid to do this shit, I guess this is why BJP is cutting their funding and giving it to YouTubers. Please make a full video of Hafta and Charcha available on the application. And please make it easier to download videos on the app. I resort to copying the link through share and downloading it on YouTube. Still can't download the video when it is on the native player. Okay, let me check on why we can't do that. But thank you so much, Commander, for your support, for your critique, for your feedback, and to all of you for all the support you give. Now, let's have the recommendations for the week. Anand, you want to go first?
Yes, so one, we had talked about the historical perspectives on relation between capital and politics in India. So there is a nice analytical essay in a book, Oxford Companion to Politics in India, about capital politics relation in India, and since independence, even before that. One second is I watched after a very long time of this film, Lawrence of Arabia.
Oh, you did?
And so,
Peter O'Toole, Omar Sharif, what a cast.
David Lynch. So,
yeah, David Lynch as well.
So there are, of course, some historical inaccuracies in it, and because of its cinematic adaptation, it is based on Colonel Lawrence's memoirs and writings. But 2-3 things in today's times about the film is remarkable, and in hindsight, after watching it after so many years again, I caught some of those 3 things. First is that if you watch the film carefully, it is about 4 hours length film, 3 hours 50 minutes. I mean, it is a very long film for any age. So of
and that too back
filmmaking,
then, right?
Filmmaking. But there is not a single female dialogue in it. There is not a single dialogue by any female. There is not even a single female character in it.
I never thought of that. Wow, that's fascinating.
Yes. And in today's time, when you have, and that does not hamper the narrative of the film. I am not making an anti-women or a kind of misogynist.
One has to be careful these days.
Yes, misogynist statement. But when you have films which are fancy dress competition nowadays of identities, like you see unnecessary some identity based scene just plugged in, which just to mainstream certain identity grievances. You see today's film, some this group, you will find 2-minute scene like projecting certain identities. So I don't think David Lane had this bravery in his mind that I will do that, but he ended up doing that. He for the narrative integrity of the film, he didn't need any female character just to make a point, and he has left out. There is not a single female saying anything in the 4-hour film. So
fascinating.
And so this I noted this time only when I watched
first, I watched the film, but this never struck me.
Yes. Second thing is that some of the continuities of history, the film is of 1962. Omar Sharif's role was offered to Dilip Kumar. He had declined.
Is that right?
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes. So, second thing is that you see after 4-5 minutes in the film only, that the leading characters gets a newspaper, so the media angle, and he says that this has appeared in the Arabian newspaper, but it might not have appeared in the Times in London. So the current narrative that the West saw is seeing, like say Ukraine war or the Gaza war from a particular perspective, and the same narrative was then also that Arab papers are reporting it differently, and the Times might not have carried. Third is that throughout the film, another continuity to today's time. In hindsight, we can see that Lawrence tries to stitch together an Arab nationalist identity through different tribes.
Yeah.
And that is a challenge now also. That
hasn't changed.
The greater Arab national and throughout the West Asia.
But I guess we are a lot closer today than we were then. But yes, it's still a challenge.
It's still a challenge. And
it's fragile.
Yeah. And there is, towards the last hour of a film, and there is a newspaper person who is supposedly from Chicago Courier newspaper, and he says that we want a character which will make this war exciting to the American people. Now this is so you are that character. Now this is also a very contemporary thing, that how to make the West Asian war far away from America very appealing to the American people. Now this another continuity from there. So these are things that I missed when I was young, when I watched it. Now I picked, like, these are some of the.
That's interesting. I'll watch it again. Yeah. And I'm also wondering, what would that scene look like? When in the end he becomes crazed and just he goes in, like he starts enjoying violence.
Is it on Prime?
And also technologically, the film is way ahead of its time. It can pass today's technology also. Some of the scenes he has shot, like when like Omar Sharif first appears riding on a horse, and it's a kind of a mirage in the desert, and the way he has shot it.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
The 3 good articles in the last week. One is our own paywall story on Dharavi redevelopment by Shweta Desai. So basically the survey has started over there. Adani is the one who are executing this project, but people who are staying over there, they are seeing that dream that they will get an alternative house somewhere else. But now when they have started submitting their applications to the BMC and all, so they are finding that on some little grounds, sometimes flimsy grounds, they are sort of illegally staying in Dharavi, so they may not get the houses that have been promised.
So they will not. All right.
Yeah, so 60% of them fall in that category. So imagine the population of Dharavi, and 60% of them are not getting benefited.
Actually, this is the complication. Even in Delhi, the bastis, because bastis have their own little mafias. I mean, the guy's net worth will probably be, not even 6 months salary of someone in my position. But in his context, he's a don.
Right.
So they have like 10 jhuggis.
Right.
And they've given them on rent for anything from $5,000 to $12,000-15,000. Now, if that jhuggi is demolished and each of those is tenant, we will give you a flat in Dwarka, those 8 people won't get it.
Yeah, it's slumlords.
Because they are rented to this guy. He will probably get in those Benami there. And these guys have been living here for like 30 years.
30.
But so it's even rehabilitation is complicated.
So 60% of them are affecting, so far. Then there was a good editorial, I think yesterday or day before, in the Indian Express on BSP. It's
on the Express,
it was,
correct.
I had not seen for a long time.
See, there were 2 pieces. One was written by Suraj Yengde about how Behan Mayawati is still relevant. Then there was one the next day where saying that she has made her own irrelevance possible.
Yeah, the first one appeared on Sunday.
Yeah, the next one was on Monday then.
Monday, Monday. It must be Monday. So that is giving, when the elections are around the corner, and BSP used to be so important in Indian politics. So I think very good perspective and why it is declining. So it's a good editorial. Then the third is, in Hindu, the curious case of Susama Aip and the Vechur cow by Shashi Tharoor. I really loved his article, primarily because when this woman, Susama, when she got the Padam Bhushan award, it was said that for the cow development. I thought maybe it is one of the BJP propaganda, that cow thingy. So I had a mindset. So I just passed that information because there was nothing much written about it.
So lesson
but
being,
after reading,
don't let prejudice
it was completely determined mind, which thought ki cow hoga kuch. So I just let it pass. But when I read this article and Shashi Tharoor, he told her story. I mean, how when she was a child and how they or somebody else in her family, and mother used to give milk of Vechur cow, and she vividly remembered that it was so good. But after this Jersey cows, the
I see change.
change and the entire thing. So they started looking for Vechur cow. So they spotted one, then the second, then the third, and then how they saved the entire thing. Very interesting. I mean, story of animal husbandry. So I really loved it. Shashi Tharoor wrote in Hindu. I think yesterday or day before.
So I actually have no recommendations this week other than all the electoral bond stories that I recommend you please read. My last week has been, much of it has been spent with lawyers and chartered accountants and income tax notices. And the podcasts I've heard, nothing particularly remarkable comes to mind. So I will recommend Newslaundry stuff, and I will recommend you subscribe and pay to keep news free. This podcast has been produced by wonderful producer Aryan. Aryan, please let everybody see you so they can see who also produced the Kashmir podcast. That's Aryan, right? Thank you. It has been recorded by Anil. And we shall leave you with this song that you have never heard of before and you will never hear of again. But it is a song picturized on Chirag Paswan when he made his Bollywood debut. So sometime someone should listen to it. So why not on Hafta now? Enjoy and have a fantastic weekend.